An effective industrial policy is essential for any industrialized nation. It enables the state to have proper policies, rules, and regulations so that the industries can be regulated and the process of industrialization benefits the economy and the society. As the as the Indian system incorporated the concept of a mixed economy. The Industrial Policy Resolution adopted in 1948 emphasized that both the public sector and the private sector should function in their respective spheres. All the key industries were to be under the control of the central government. The public sector had control over arms and ammunition, the production and control of atomic energy, railways, etc., which were to be the exclusive monopoly of the central government. The state held the control over coal, iron and steel, aircraft manufacturing, shipbuilding, etc. Private enterprises and the cooperatives managed the remaining industries. Industrial Policy Resolution 1956. A new industrial policy resolution was formulated and was adopted in April 1956. As per this policy, three categories of industries were specified. These were totally controlled by the state. The industries which were owned by the state and the private enterprises could not supplement in the management of such industries. And the third category of industries were those which were exclusively managed by the private enterprises. The industries of the private sector were to be encouraged by the state and by improved systems of transport, power sector, and other services. The small scale industries and cottage industries were also to be encouraged by the state. Industrial Policy 1980. An industrial policy was announced by the Congress government in July 1980. It stressed on a pragmatic approach towards the development, acknowledging the Industrial Policy Resolution of 1956. It emphasized on an integrated industrial development with setting up of nucleus plants in industrially backward regions. Small scale units and cottage industries were to be started which could function more effectively using improved technology. It aimed at promoting a concept of economic federalism. The industrial policy of 1980 made considerable changes by bringing about a liberalized licensing policy by which large undertakings were much benefited as they were free from the MRTP Act and FERA. The government delicensed industries which were located in the areas that were declared as backward. The concept of broad banding was introduced. This gave flexibility to the manufacturers in production as the products could be designed as per the demands of the market. Industrial Policy in 1991. A new industrial policy was introduced by the P.V. Narasimha Rao government in July 1991. This was a landmark in the economic history of the nation because the government had introduced its policy of liberalization. New economic policy was introduced in India in July 1991 under the Prime Ministership of P.V. Narasimha Rao. Dr. Manmohan Singh, the Finance Minister, is regarded as the father of new economic policy of India. The act from centralized bureaucratic control, the conditions of enterprises were re-examined as they showed a very less rate of growth. So entrepreneurs were freed from the restriction of MRTP Act and restrictions on direct foreign investment was removed. The Indian economy was integrated with the world economy through this policy of liberalization. Major reforms were introduced in the areas of industrial licensing, foreign investment, foreign technology, public sector policy, and MRTP Act. Changes were made with regard to industrial licensing, which was abolished for many industries. As per the new Act, 18 industries were included for compulsory licensing. Some of the industries in this category were coal and lignite, petroleum, sugar, industrial explosives, hazardous chemicals, electronic, aerospace and defense materials, drugs and pharmaceuticals. It comprised of industries which were related to security concerns, health, environment, etc. In 1993, three more industries were removed from the list of the 18 industries under the compulsory licensings. They were motor cars, white goods which include refrigerator, washing machines, air conditioners, etc., and raw hides and skins and patent leather. Rehabilitation schemes were introduced with the help of the Board of Industrial and Financial Reconstruction so that the public enterprises whose performance was poor would be improved. During such a rehabilitation process, the interests of the workers of such industries was to be protected. Competition Act 2002, the Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act (MRTP) 1969 was repealed by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and this was replaced by the Competition Act 2002, which was later amended in 2007 and 2009. In the MRTP Act had the objective of preventing the concentration of money and checking unfair practices in trade so that the monopolistic practices could be stopped. But the new act encouraged freedom of trade so that there was a healthy competition and the consumer could get the best products. Emphasis was given to the regulating the activities of the companies. The companies did not have to get the prior approval of the government in making changes in the establishments. In spite of many efforts towards integration, there were also few inadequacies. In India, still the problem of unemployment and underemployment. Uniform development in all regions is a challenge to the policymakers and the larger society. Even after long years of independence and industrialization, governments have to still design programs for poverty eradication. The industrialization leads to the development of large sectors, but the small and medium sectors still have a long way to go. More and more industries are concentrated in cities. In terms of development, there is vast difference between the urban and rural areas. Issues relating to urbanization and migration are bigger challenges to the state.